Now to Ebola in America. President Obama speaking out against states imposing mandatory quarantines for healthcare workers.
Because if we do, then we're just putting another barrier on somebody who's already doing really important work on our behalf.
One of those workers, nurse Kaci Hickox, at the center of this battle, first kept in isolation in New Jersey after returning from Africa. She's now back in her home state of Maine, and she joins us now by Skype, along with her lawyer here in the studio, Stephen Hyman. Thank you both for joining us. And Kaci, let me begin with you first. How are you feeling? I know your last contact with an Ebola patient was back in October 21st.
That's correct. I feel absolutely great. I think I've mentioned before, I felt great since I've arrived, except for being maybe a bit sleep deprived after all of this. But I am completely symptom free and really happy to be back in my home in Fort Kent.
And we know that the state of Maine would like you to abide by a voluntary quarantine until the 21 days have passed, but you say you're not going to do it.
You know, I remain really concerned by these mandatory quarantine policies from aid workers. I think we're just only adding to stigmatization that, again, is not based on science or evidence. And if these restrictions are not removed for me from the state of Maine by tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, I will go to court to attain my freedom.
And your lawyer, Stephen Hyman, is right here. She says you're going to go to court. But what if the state moves to enforce this quarantine?
Well, that's what they have to do. They actually have to move to enforce it. And the standard is, does Kaci have an infectious disease or agent? Is she harboring an infection? The answer is no. Medically, there is no basis to quarantine Kaci at this point in time. And every doctor, there is no medical science that says she should be quarantined. None.
But Kaci, do you understand the concern people have, and what do you say to those who might be concerned that those coming back, those healthcare workers coming back from Africa, could spread Ebola?
You know, I don't understand. I think we really have to stick to the facts and the science. I haven't seen any science that says this is a huge risk, and I have seen science that says self-monitoring works. And self-monitoring is a humane, understandable, prudent solution.
And just to be clear, as you've been self-monitoring throughout this, you said you don't have any symptoms. You've never shown a fever, never shown any other symptoms of Ebola?
I have been completely asymptomatic since I've been here. I know there were reports that I had a fever after having been detained for over 3 hours at the Newark airport. I believe that the forehead scanner used to take that temperature was completely inaccurate. I didn't take any anti-fever medicines while at the airport, and when I arrived in the isolation facility, they took my temperature by an oral thermometer, and it was completely normal.
Would you go back and serve in Africa again?
Absolutely. I, in fact, plan on doing so.
Okay, Kaci Hickox, Stephen Hyman, thanks very much for your time this morning.